ladies and gentlemen and popular pronouns of all, welcome back to Raised by Spoilers. Tonight, we watched Buckaroo Banzai, or The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Joining me tonight is John Big Booty. John.
That's me.
I don't know. John Littleberries.
You're getting Little John and Small Berries combined, but I'll take it.
And I'm your host, John Lithgow himself, friend on the show. Friends, loved ones, and all-around collectors. Tonight, we watched Buckaroo Banzai, or The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, a movie that came out in 1984 by 20th Century Fox with a budget of $17 million. The returns, $6.3 million.
Oh!
Bombed. Nobody went and nobody liked it when it first came out.
Oh, that is, and that's not like a kind of bomb. That's a horrible bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably known around the internet as one of the greatest cult sci-fi movies ever.
Yeah.
A hidden gem. One of the best movies you've never seen. Relatively for distribution, because the movie flopped so hard, was difficult to find. For a long time, you couldn't get it on VHS. There was a very limited run. So It was one of those, like a Brotherhood of the Wolf, where it's like, oh, it was released in Europe, in France, and it might not play on your DVD player, or you might not be able to get it.
Wow.
It has recently been reprinted by Shout Factory on a very limited run of Blu-rays, which are very expensive to track down because they did a very small release on like a classic steelbook. Before we get into the cast and the plot of everything, I want to walk around the room real quick. What did everybody think? Adam, what did you think of Buckaroo Banzai? You've never seen this movie.
You went in blind. We were like, don't even look up the trailer. Don't look up anything.
Normally, when we do these, I'll generally, if I'm not the one to have seen it, I'll go look up some wiki articles and things like that. Learn a bit more about the back end of the movie. You told me, don't do any of it. Go in blind. So this one, I'm in completely blind. I will say we did find it on Prime because
yes, it is on Prime. It is on. I mean, what we've found is shout out to Tubi, because Tubi has pretty much every single fucking episode of Raised by Spoilers we've done. Our movies are on there.
Nice.
So if you want to watch any movie we've talked about on Raised by Spoilers, Tubi has it for free.
They have a cult classic section.
And it's literally like, oh my God, we got to dig through it because it's just insane for movies to be streamed. But the problem is the commercial breaks. It's like watching a video on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
But for free movies, I mean, go for it. Adam, what did you think of Buckaroo Banzai?
I think this movie was, I don't know who wrote it, what crack they were on.
Okay.
What drugs they were on, and what drugs the people who approved a $17 million budget on to make this movie. This movie was wild. It made no sense to me. It felt an awful lot like, I'm getting, and maybe I just don't know this, is Buckaroo Banzai like, was it a comic before it became this movie?
No.
It was, they took a lot from like Buck Rogers and like
so there's no history of this before.
There is no history.
This
so
is
here's
all written
out of the blue.
Yep.
So let me actually, I apologize. Let me jump in real quick here. The film centers around the efforts of polymath Buckaroo Banzai's physicist, neurosurgeon, test pilot, and Rockstar to save the world by defeating a band of interdimensional aliens called the Red Lectroids from Planet 10. Buckaroo Banzai is part James Bond, part A-Team, part Doctor Who.
Some say the American Doctor Who. Hence, like the bow tie and...
To get into the quick little math, Marvel Comics did a comic book for it. Almost later for promotional material. Just like Conan had one, Kiss had one with the blood in the comic books. It was like one double issue that was the synopsis of the movie illustrated. And that was fucking it. This was a movie that was created to build hype to be the next big American James Bond or American Doctor Who.
Yeah, it felt like that. It kind of had that Star Wars scroll at the beginning, giving you all this context. I'm thinking, oh, there must be comics that I just don't know about, or something like
character?
that. Or Pulp Fiction, weird tales type things that I'm not aware about. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of moving through it. And it's just wild. I'm like, I get it. They just get the plot moving. There's this whole history with his wife. The writing was awful.
Okay.
On all accounts, it was bad. There is Deus Ex Machina. Every rule of writing, it broke.
Chekhov's cat.
Chekhov's cat. It broke every single rule of writing, and it was miserable. Like most movies that we watch together, I had a lot of fun.
It's a fucking
You were laughing
ride.
quite a bit.
I was laughing.
It's a ride, man.
I was laughing, but the problem was I wasn't laughing with the movie. I was laughing at the movie.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Okay. Nintendo geek.
See, you showed me this a few weeks ago.
Okay.
It's funny, there's kind of a domino effect. You watched it and then you're like, you need to watch this. So now this is my second viewing, which is now your first viewing, but your third.
I've seen this quite a bit.
So it's very
I've seen this
much
quite a
like the
bit.
domino effect of like, no, we just got to keep this. We got to keep this movie rolling. Like we got to keep showing new people, and we even got Amanda to watch it, which is rare. And it's like, no, you have to say it's bizarre.
It's bad shit.
But it's also now watching it a second time. I'm knowing what was happening. I kind of got the plot points early on, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it more now. It's just insane how much it's not referenced, but inspired other franchises. Like, there's a lot in here that are now Easter eggs for what I know came after and what was inspired by it. And it's hidden unless you're like, wait a minute. I'm going to blow your mind in a second. The first time we watched this, like when they were doing the beginning scene with the car trying to break into, I'm like, oh, they're saying like HP. It's HP? I think HP 88. And I'm like, oh my God. And then you said, is this a DeLorean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Don't they have to do 88 miles an hour?
What was this movie? I feel like the movie was before.
Yeah.
It was. So
And
when you guys are
Christopher
saying,
Lloyd.
oh, look, the flux capacitor. Oh, look this. Oh,
Yeah.
look that. People,
Back
everybody
to the
watched
future
it.
was
This inspired.
yeah. Because
This
I'm
is
like,
a
oh,
s-
88 miles an hour. Like, obviously, he's trying to, like, I'm like, wait a minute, what? When did it? And I did the same thing. I'm like, when did Back to the Future come out?
I was sitting there the whole movie because I don't know anything about it going, which one came first?
Yeah.
Buckaroo Banzai is important, not just because it had such an amazing cast of actors before they were big, because Christopher Lloyd had already done stuff in it. By the way, Christopher Lloyd's in this movie.
Yeah,
folks.
yeah.
We haven't even gone through
John
the rundown.
Big Boutte.
But this movie, much like a lot of early science fiction, inspired and laid a lot of groundwork for future Raised by Spoilers
This
episodes
walked
and
so they
cult
could
movies.
run.
Whether it's good or bad, we wouldn't have the flux capacitor without Buckaroo fucking
I
Banzai.
think Amanda pointed that out.
It was only like a year or two after. How could it have been developed at the same time? And like,
Because scripts are written years before and passed around. You got to
True.
think about the back end of
but
Hollywood.
they didn't sit there and say the flux capacitor looks like a triangle shaped lights. Like they didn't describe that. They described the 88 kilometers an hour, sure, but not the flux capacitor. So
it might have been like there's a device, and then they were like, wait a minute, we can use what they already used, but call it something different.
yeah. What year did this movie come out?
84.
84. It was in development in 1974.
Wow.
Oh,
So
it
it
took
was
10 years.
it was passed around.
Most movies do take a long time to come out, but still,
No. Not like a long like it didn't take 10 years to film. What
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, of
saying
course.
is they wrote the script, they workshopped it,
Yeah.
and it's been passed through so many hands. So Spielberg at some point, or not Spielberg, who did Back to the Future?
Spielberg.
Produced it.
Oh. Oh crap. You think I
Sorry
would
for the
know
pregnant
this?
pause, everybody.
Yeah, I know.
John Zemeckis?
Yeah, Zemeckis. Yeah.
Zemeckis. Robert
Zemeckis.
Robert Zemeckis had who at some point have read this,
Oh, for sure.
right? Because he
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
co-wrote.
All the writers all read each other's stuff.
Yes, so that's where there's
So
there's a
instead
lot of pinching.
getting fast to break to another dimension, it's like, wait, if we just go a specific amount and just go to the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what we're saying, I know you're having a hard time, but like this,
I am
this
struggling
is
with this
trivia
movie.
I'm throwing at you. These aren't like,
Yeah.
oh, we're hypotheticalizing.
Oh, that
I'm
was
like, no,
just
no,
an
no. This
example,
is
like-
inspired.
Oh, no,
This
I know,
is the
yeah.
trivia of it, where it's like, fuck.
It just, and you know what? I kind of understand that because this felt like a movie where a bunch of people threw a bunch of shit at a wall.
It's
and
Teenage
the
Boy.
movies later, like the Back to the Future, took those ideas and went, let's do something good with it. Like,
Right.
I feel like this was they didn't know what to do with these ideas. and someone else improved upon it. It was almost like the original John Carter of Mars.
Right.
Where of the 80s, specifically of the 80s style, because they threw a bunch of shit. It kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But everyone else picked from its corpse.
Well, you look at it, right? We start with the rocket ship car, and it's the David MacGuffin thing that makes the car super and can go through dimensions or places or time.
Yeah.
But we don't actually get that. And the whole crux with Buckaroo Banzai is it's not a first act as much as you are starting arguably in the second act of a movie, and there are already been adventures, and the gang and the squad has already been assembled, and there's already this history and lore that you're not supposed to know about, and you're supposed to just play catch up with.
Which is not good, by the way. That was part of the problem that I had.
Really?
I just had I don't know if I'm jumping the gun in the context, but I think that's why they brought in New Jersey or City or Cowboy, because Cowboy, Jeff Goldblum's character, is very much meant to be like, oh, you're cool. I got an opening on my team. Come with me. So he is the audience's point of view of like, what did I just get into?
Right. Because
so he's the naive one where it's like he's looking around being like, wait, what is happening?
They brought him in. He plays the everyman, us.
Yeah.
And then there's also Peggy.
Peggy, that's a bit,
Peggy.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah. There's also her who plays the she's actually the role of the everyman,
right?
Who is the lowest common denominator of intelligence when they're explaining these pseudoscience things, like, and she tries to explain it, the paper through the pencil through the paper,
right?
Bullshit explanation. That's her
shout
job.
out to you, Event Horizon.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me just pause for a quick second.
I know, sorry, we're jumping
because we are all over the place.
We're jumping to the eighth dimension.
Jumping to the eighth dimension. So just so everybody knows right off the bat, Peter Weller, RoboCop, plays Buckaroo Banzai, an American-Japanese super scientist, a prodigy. John Lithgow, Lord John Worfen. I didn't know if it was extended. Worfen plays our villain. We've got Alan Barker as Peggy, pretty. Jeff Goldblum as New Jersey. Christopher Lloyd, who was already established as an actor, especially within theater at the time, was John Big Boutte.
Not Bodie.
Lewis Smith, who I don't necessarily know what else he has done, played Perfect Tommy. And Clancy Brown, at this moment, played Rawhide, Mr. Krabs, Pathfinder. Shout out to a ton of movies Clancy Brown has been in. And that's pretty much everybody notable.
I'm pretty sure he's also in Highlander.
We haven't covered Highlander.
I know, but he's in it.
Okay, well, yes, he is. But that's pretty much all of the notorious standout actors in this movie, but a lot of them still stand out as big sci-fi people.
Yeah.
So the concept is it's in a weird sort of comic book Avengers of secret agents from all over that jump in a private jet and go solve problems in different parts of the world.
I hadn't made the Avengers connection, but you're right.
You know what I mean? It's not X-Men as much as it's just like there's a tech guy. It's almost pre-Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Right? Where we got our tech guy, we've got our demolitions expert, we've got our guns, we've got this, we've got like the chick, the spy, the thief.
Yeah, yep.
It's a weird...
Sydney acts as like their medic.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So Lewis Smith was in The Heavenly Kid. He was the main actor there in 1985. And he also was in Django. But other
the
than
old
that,
Django.
No, the new Django.
Oh.
He was in Django Unchained, but other than that, it just looks like a lot of like movies that look like they're just like straight to video, like The Man Who Fell to Earth, Diary of a Hitman. So he hasn't really been like in a lot of like big blockbusters.
All right.
Well, W.D. Richard, who is the screenwriter and director of Buckaroo Banzai, did some shout-out films and some ones that would stand out. He co-wrote Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He did Dracula in 1979, I want to say with Christopher Lee. He also he didn't write Buckaroo Banzai, but he directed and produced it. The next thing he did was co-write Big Trouble in Little China with John Carpenter. Like, there is some stuff, guys. We're going to get to Big Trouble. We're going to get to Big Trouble next. And then the next ones that really kind of jump out is 2005 Stealth. But he hasn't really done too much.
Okay.
The one with the jet that was
so
they
it
couldn't
seems
track
like
down.
half the cast kind of went on to do other stuff. Half the cast kind of fell
to obscurity.
Yeah. Okay.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So you want to start us off with carrying us through this movie? First scene.
There's a lot, eh?
The thing is, there's a lot, but they don't spend a lot of time on it, so it leaves you with a lot behind.
Okay. So a little sip of recap juice. Ladies and gentlemen, we get the Star Wars scrawl. The Empire has fallen. Luke Skywalker is missing. And no, that's the wrong thing. Buckaroo Banzai, an American-born Japanese man with a hard cut, deleted scene that we did not get in the movie was, I believe, Jamie Lee Curtis was cast to play his mother.
Oh,
and a bunch of and instead of the Star Wars like scrawl, they filmed scenes that would fill in him and his parents and how much of a prodigy he was growing up.
Well,
but
they
they
were both
cut all of that.
scientists, too.
They were both scientists growing up, but they cut that for time and budget.
Okay.
So instead, we get scrawl. Buckaroo Banzai is doing neurosurgeon and talking to Jeff Goldblum's New Jersey about auditioning for his band.
Well, they don't say
crew.
in the crew.
Can you dance? Can you sing? Are you good light on your feet?
Well, he didn't ask him that. No, that's the thing is, Banzai didn't ask him. He's like, I've got a spot for you. I would like you. And
he does ask if he can
asked
sing.
if he can sing.
Yeah. But at that point, Jeff Goldblum goes, well, yeah, he goes, well, can you sing? And he goes, well, yeah. And then he goes, I can dance.
I can dance.
So
better.
he offered that he could dance.
Yeah.
So it wasn't clear what he's offering the position for to us.
Right.
And at the same time, because they're doing the scene where it's like a bunch of military people prepping a test site.
Hard cut to the jet car being prepped.
Yeah.
And the jet car itself has our flux capacitor. We get the first shot of that. And then the overthruster.
Yeah.
The overthruster is first revealed. The government says, oh, Banzai's not going to show. He's chicken shit. And sure as shit, after Banzai changes his scrubs, we meet Clancy Brown talking us through as he records dialogue saying, hey, this is what Dr. Banzai is working. He's breakthrough studies for all. This guy is the super MacGuffin. We get...
this guy's the shit.
He is so cool, and it's so bananas. Buckaroo Banzai then gets in a helicopter, flies to the test spot, has already changed, jumps in the car, installs the overthruster, and then drives the jet car, breaking the sound barrier.
Well, it looks like they had he was only supposed to do a test run.
Right.
And then Rawhide's in the corner there counting down, being like, oh, he's gonna fuck off in a second. And he's like, yep.
We're going to use it.
There he goes. So he veers off course into the desert going rogue.
The question that I have there is, do you think Rawhide... Do you think Rawhide knew he was going to do it, as in to say, do you think Buckaroo's like, hey, I'm going to do this?
Yes.
Or do you think that Buckaroo didn't tell him and he just like, I know Buckaroo.
Yeah,
I know Buckaroo's going to do this.
I think they knew because they were sitting there, like the gang, the whole crew in like almost a Wild West cowboy gang style, were all sitting there watching. That's why they had Hataka sitting there with the computer and everything already set up, being like, all right, cool, the government's funding us and we're doing a test flight and we have to be here for legal reasons.
Yeah.
We're in the desert, very Oppenheimer, and the government is already poaching to be like, this shouldn't be allowed. We're going to take over this. You guys are fucking fly-by-nighters and cowboys, and you guys think you don't have to play by the rules because you're above.
Yeah.
You're secret agent superheroes.
Yep. You're the Avengers. We have the contract. Sign the contract and give us your real names.
Right. Fuck off, right? And they're all kind of sitting there going, watch this. Because that's why we have reporters and everything going on. But also, I'm breaking up. Buckaroo drives the car through a mountain.
Well, he just veers off track.
Veers off and drives right into a mountain, at which point it shifts and dive bombs through the 8th dimension. In which case, it is a laser light show of strobe lights and
It
red.
reminded me of Barbarella.
Yeah?
Like the old school Barbarella where she's going through space and it's all like the oil on water effects and it's all psychedelic.
Okay. That was more psychedelic. This reminded me more of like something like the Chrono Trigger time jump.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the video game.
I see it more as the hyperdrive from Star Wars, but a little less cool.
It felt more like they were like, I get what they were trying to go for because they had him like go through and around things. He wasn't just driving in a straight line because he went into another dimension where he could go around atomic part, like around other stuff.
Yeah.
But it didn't make much sense. I did love the driving through and then suddenly there's a body.
Oh, the aliens?
He starts hitting aliens and shit. And it's like, oh no. Buckaroo fucking Banzai. At which case, Banzai comes blasting out the other side of a mountain. Totally fine. The car has a minor oil leak, and everyone's panicking, being like, "Oh my god, we lost him! Oh my god, the world's greatest scientist has vanished."
And Rockstar,
and neurosurgeon, and experimental whatever. Blasts through the other side. The car spins out. It stops. Banzai jumps out. Does a good little roll. You see the bandana, which was originally a promotional item that they handed out to people in theaters.
Oh, that's cool.
And they are very, very sought after as collector items right now.
Oh, for sure.
They're very, very expensive or incredibly hard to find for the Team Banzai or Banzai crew.
I will give this movie credit. There was a lot of merch because the whole time I'm like, I want the Team Banzai patch. Like, I want the BB, like...
Yeah, it had
the logos, the branding.
It had a really cool, the winged BBs. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. That did look really cool.
All the stickers. I want all the patches. Like, I don't know if they exist. Hopefully,
I mean, sure they
do. There's something online for Redbubble, but for the most part, like that's the thing. There was such a push for this is going to be the next big franchise, and they haven't ever got off the ground.
Yeah,
so marketing, right? But they were hoping.
I do love the. I was at this point in the movie because I didn't know anything about it. I was trying my desperate hardest to figure out because first of all, they spent the first part of that movie all the way up until now. They hid Buckaroo Banzai's face.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
you don't know what
he had a surgeon mask on, right? We all know that from COVID. And then later on, he had like a ski mask on the whole time. So you couldn't see his face. So I'm wondering, but I knew his face because it was on the trailer and I knew it was Tom. Was it
Peter Weller?
I always think Tom Weller for whatever reason. So I knew that. And I'm like, okay, why are they hiding his face? What's going on here? Yeah. So I kept sort of thinking, oh, I thought he was going to jump dimensions at that moment. And then they showed everyone partying that they found him again.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, he's in a different dimension that's like slightly different. We're going to find out everything's celebrating. Then it's going to slowly reveal to us that the world is an apocalypse world or something else is going on here. And it just never happened. Like I was expecting more to the complexity of this.
And yeah, you can keep looking.
There wasn't. Turned out it wasn't that deep.
From there, Banzai crawls underneath the jet car and finds some sort of egg
or brain
from one of the aliens.
We're
not quite sure.
I just like that it's like he hit him on the road and all that's left over is brain matter to the bottom of the
But it's proof enough to be like, hey, I didn't just go through a mountain. I went through and there's organic material.
Yeah.
It's further proof of his theory.
There is a thing that the problem is in my brain thinks in a movie, the first thought that everyone would be thinking, you just put that on your fucking car and then came through. Like, so what?
Yeah. Next, we have Dr. Emilio Lizardo, sorry. Yeah.
The literal
incarcerated in a insane asylum for the criminally insane. And he watches the news story of Buckaroo Banzai on TV. And it reflects on his past experiments and histories with Hitaka. We get a flashback of younger John Lithgow.
Okay, how did the flashback start?
Well, he licks two wires and electrifies himself watching TV.
He hooks a wire up to his TV electrical line.
I think they're like the whole thing. I think with their race is it's very electromagnetically forced. So I think he uses electricity to like.
He's human.
Energy.
No, he's not.
No. He worked with the same professor, Hikita, 1938. He jumped the gun. He was human, right? He was a professor. He jumped the gun and went too soon, got stuck in the 8th dimension halfway, enough for one of the Lectroids to possess him.
Consume it into him. Crawl into him.
That's why he never turned to an alien.
Because he's wearing the Lectroid skin.
It does
the human
mention
skin.
it briefly in the movie that he's possessed or like it's in him.
That's what they meant by that.
That's how he escaped.
So that's why he was insane when really it was just the alien
took over and was confused about the new world.
Exactly. And that's why he never changed into a Lectroid because he technically is still wearing the human skin.
I was trying to figure out why he had the same name John as all the other Johns. And I'm like, is it because they named themselves after him? I couldn't quite figure that one out. Now that makes more sense.
No,
I thought because he was so Lord and he was so special that when they came to Earth, they all just thought, well, everyone here is named John because that's how Johns work.
I think it might have been the most common name.
I think that's
So in their alien brain, they're like, we're going to all be named John because we're
brain.
human.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
so
They can disguise themselves.
we get the flashback in the history of the Overthruster. At that point, Lizardo plots his escape, attacks the gentleman from Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, he's not.
He's not on.
He's not big enough. He's not important enough. I don't know his name though.
He was a security guard in the insane asylum.
Yeah. He's the tough guy from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
It's killing me.
I don't remember his name. He was the hitman that worked with Saul Goodman.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
There he is.
Yeah, there's a picture of him.
There is there.
I don't know who he is.
So Lizardo gets out, electrifies the Buckaroo Banzai arcade cabinet, and takes his bootleg Overthruster and escapes.
The fact that he's an alien makes more sense now because I'm like, how could he just push a single button and fry the whole thing? But that whole race has like electrical power, so he just that actually makes more sense now.
He's like the leader of the red Lectroids, and he was imprisoned in the 8th dimension.
Yes.
By the black Lectroids.
Yes, and that's why Buckaroo Banzai is that's why they blame Buckaroo Banzai for
I got that
getting
part.
him to be like, oh, now is my time to strike, because they did it and we can get home.
Yeah. Well, they brought him out.
Well, the black Lectroids would have never known that he escaped.
Yeah.
So he was been hiding this entire time.
Yeah.
He accidentally broke this horrible war criminal out of the Phantom Zone.
Yes.
Effectively.
Or
Absolutely.
he motivated John Warfin to actually do the plan that he wanted.
Yeah.
Because the people that he called.
I don't think I don't think it was he. I think it sounds like this guy was evil long before Buckaroo was ever involved.
He motivated unintentionally him to break out and to be like, okay, I'm going to round up my guys.
Well, he just broke him out. He
Exactly.
put a brain in there and said, "Here's your key," and he got himself out. So he basically accidentally broke a very horrible war criminal out of jail.
Yep.
That's effectively what happened.
Yep.
Yes.
Very complex way of doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. Which then from prison he calls John Big Butte and it's like, hey, rally, we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friends, if it doesn't seem like we're making sense, it's because that's the plot of the movie. So hard cut after Dr. Emilio Lizardo escapes, we get Banzai and his band, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, as they are performing for a nightclub when Banzai interrupts the musical to address a depressed woman in the audience, Peggy Pretty.
Penny Pretty.
What did we all think of Banzai or the Hong Kong Cavaliers?
I think it's genius because they're all high up scientists in their field.
It kind of reminds me of Queen.
Yeah, it's a little wild, eh?
I like how they just are so deadpan when he's like, hey, Penny, like after he figures out that
Peggy.
she's depressed and she's down on her luck, he sings her the most depressing song. And then everyone's like, this is weird, right?
Peggy attempts to commit suicide and was mistaken for an assassin attempt to kill Banzai, in which case she is apprehended and locked up.
I don't think that was the weirdest part. Is first of all, based on how I've seen Banzai, I guess, during this. First of all, he seems like a self-centered, egoed prick, kind of.
Yep.
He outwardly projects that he's not trying to be that, but he actually is. Like, he's kind of, with the way he's talking to Sydney about the brain surgery is kind of, oh, don't do that, you're an idiot. But he's not saying you're an idiot. He's just like, well, don't do that. Like, you're dumb. Like,
He's operating on another level.
Yeah. Yeah, but it kind
literally,
yeah.
He's in another dimension.
Yeah.
8 of them at this point.
Yeah, exactly. But it just felt like while he wasn't trying to be a dick, his actions were dickish.
Yes.
If that's the best way I
But
can put it.
everyone loves him, so they just kind of go along with it. And he kind of gets away with anything
He's
he
the
wants.
smartest, most beautiful man on the planet.
Kind of like a Bruce Wayne in a way.
I would say it's more equivalent to a Iron Man.
Iron Man, Bruce
Without
Wayne.
the money.
If you combine both of
He's
them
got the money.
together, he even has his own Batmobile.
Yeah.
DeLorean Ghostbuster car.
Yeah. But I thought he was kind of dick. And I thought that like the rest of the band members, you'd think at this point they'd be used to his like weird shit.
Yeah.
Like there's no way this is the first time.
Nobody questions anything.
No,
Yeah.
they
They're all
just
just
go
kind of
along.
like, oh,
They're
yeah,
like,
it's
yes,
aliens.
yep.
Again.
Yeah, exactly. They
Right.
don't. They're just used to it. And then, but at the same time, they're at this music venue, and they're playing, and he just like, stop the music, stop the movie. You're crying. Stop crying at my party.
Why are you sad?
Why are you sad? And everyone else is like, well, I don't know what's going on. You'd think they'd be used to that kind of thing by now.
I think this was so off kilter because he's paying it, like, also too, like, the band knows his history. At this point, we don't know the history of why he called her Peggy.
That's true.
And also the iconic line we get,
Oh, shit.
which is
I was going to close the show with that, but that's
never
fine.
mind. We get some iconic quotes and everything, and they're like, wait, why is he doing this? Because normally he's just self-centered, but why is he paying attention to this lady?
Yeah.
This is awkward.
Which also turns out to be a self-centered, selfish action.
Well,
I think. And creepy
100%
as shit.
problematic.
Yeah.
after Banzai bodyguards apprehend Penny, Banzai and the team drive to prison where Penny, I'm going to keep calling her Peggy, Penny is locked up, and Banzai questions her. He then realizes that with the giant crater-sized plot hole, he realizes that Peggy is his wife's long-lost identical twin sister and bails her out without question.
I do love that there's this entire story plot. Again, we have no conscious, so there's no feeling, there's
Queen
no
of the
emotional-
Netherlands.
The Queen of the Netherlands. There's no ties to this reality.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's completely emotionally dead.
The only thing that they mention is when he's on his dojo tour bus, there's a photo right in the middle of the frame between Perfect Tommy and Reno where it's him with his wife, and they're like, it's a spitting image of, they're talking
There's
about
no
him
way it's her.
as if he's not 2 feet away, being like, well, we know there's no way she said, but so they already
Yeah.
know that he's already being like softer because she looks like his ex-wife
Yeah.
or dead wife.
Dead wife.
Dead wife. I'm assuming dead. Yeah.
Yeah, dead wife. Because he does say, well, she was around and no longer.
No, she's gone.
You know, obviously, if it was an ex-wife, he would probably not like
And then Penny's
the
like,
stepsister
I've
or the
always
sister.
thought there was some part of me that was lost and out there somewhere. And he's like, of course.
I'm it, baby girl.
And it's
bit by
like
a snake.
creepy.
Yeah, it's not go. That's what I mean. He's like, I can see a heart of gold in there, but he's just not thinking on everyone else's level. Also, this is the 80s, so even if it wasn't his character, that's just how shit was written then.
It was. Men have no feelings and are hollow refrigerators that are big action movie stars.
Oh, and it's like, he's like, Tommy, break her out. And he's like, why me? Because you're perfect. And he's like, yeah, I am. Okay. Whatever you say, boss.
Yo, he's got his ex-wife, he's got his husband, and then there's Buckaroo Banzai. Okay.
And then the lady in the cell being like, you can take me out anywhere.
I love that.
Perfect,
know.
The
Tommy.
random quirks.
The random jabs through this movie are so beautiful.
Yeah. Also, this is where they get Sydney, New Jersey,
Yeah,
Goldblum.
cowboy.
Yeah.
they pick him up.
They pick him up.
I do like that they're like, just meet us at this address, and he's at
We'll pick you up.
He's at a police station going like, why am I here?
Yeah. It kind of reflects, though, the question and authority of Banzai and Perfect Tommy and his coldness to the group, right?
Yeah.
If he is close to somebody, his wife has died, there is a lot of trauma there, right? It doesn't necessarily give us a lot as much as it's a couple lines, but it does echo out, like, Banzai has been closed off for years. So as soon as Banzai is like, what the fuck is going on, the whole group starts to identify what is happening. Why
Do
is he
you
opening?
think his coldness was purposefully written, or do you think it's just a bad writing that you're reading into?
I think it's Peter Weller's bad acting
Okay, fair enough.
that
Yeah.
also plays it off
Okay.
as where he is coming from. I think that the difference too is Christopher Lloyd really the only established actor at the time.
Sure.
Everyone hasn't blown up yet, including Jeff Goldblum, John Lithgow, all of these people. But in interviews and even the DVDs, special features, they all talk about their time with this movie and cherishing it as, God damn, this was a shit show, but was so fun because you had Chicago improv actors. You had comedians, you
Yeah.
had theater actors, you had everybody who had came from different walks of life and different backgrounds of theaters or acting schools, workshopping
Yeah.
and redoing scenes and having fun with it, because the crux of this movie is it takes itself way too seriously for how silly it is.
Yes.
And it's a detriment, but it's also so charming because they are doing these scenes where you can either tell that they did it really, really goofball, or they went, we need to kick the door in and be super action serious about it, because they're screwing around. Lithgow himself is on record to be like, this was one of the best films I have ever made because of how fucking... Yeah, do it improv. Do it again.
He was
just
great.
Go in and destroy it.
They let him kind of do whatever he wanted.
He was my favorite character by and large.
And they all sort of at a young age, before they really got big in Hollywood, were testing the waters and really stretching their muscles as actors and artists.
Do you think this movie, because I think it's important to, when we're thinking about the movie and putting this all in context, do you think this movie intended to be kind of a joke? Or do you think they wrote this mostly serious and it turned out to be a joke?
I think... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think they obviously was kind of a serious plot, and then the actors made it fun.
Yeah, I think it was serious because of how the concept of even the pulp, like a James Bond.
How it originated from that?
They wanted it to be... Well, we can do science and we can do action scenes, and we can have... This guy's super smart, and he's book smart, and... He is charming, but not on a level where everyone can relate to, because he is just so brainy.
Yeah.
That these actors, I mean, you can't help but like, there's so many scenes where they have to cut away because they're about to burst laughing. Like they're cracking smiles as the improv jokes.
So you think it was written serious, but the actors realized this is fucking goofy and just had a fun of it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. That puts this into context.
And I think the balls for the director to kind of be like, let's fucking have fun with it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like we have moments in this, and I'm going to get back to the plot in a minute, where they're at the giant fucking mansion compound.
Yeah,
it's got a helicopter pad. It's got a lockdown. There's a facility. They even make the joke, not even a joke, as much as they address like, okay, he's in either engineering, he's in bio, he's in the lab, he's in the bunker. What's 7 different aspects of this like compound?
Yeah.
Do we have to search? And it's just so ridiculous, but also...
There's a guest house.
How big is this property? And you never see it. It's almost...
You only see the entrance.
Yeah.
But you can imagine it's like a big Californian mansion.
It's hallways, and it is Tony Stark. Yeah. It's Tony Stark.
But in New Brunswick, or not... New Brunswick, New Jersey. Not California.
New Jersey. Yeah, he's not Canadian.
It's almost like... It's hard to say because we always keep coming back to comic books with this movie, but it is like if a teenage boy went, well, he's a rocket scientist and a ninja, and he's really into punk rock, and like it's the times infinity. This movie is my guy's cooler than your guy times infinity.
Yeah.
Because you can't beat me because my guy's smarter because times infinity. Just like we don't really get those like, oh, he barely pulled it off, kind of like James Bond.
Yeah, no, there is no times where I'm like, oh, is he going to make it through?
Right.
Like, there is none of that.
And it's not necessarily like, hey, we need to all support each other, almost like the A-Team, where we get scenes where Buckaroo is like, okay, wait 30 minutes when I solve the problem and come clean up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though they all rush in guns a-blazing in the third act.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Buckaroo Banzai addresses the press conference about what happened with the jet car and the mountain and the overthruster.
Want to be clear, he went straight from surgery straight to
an experiment.
Then to an experiment, then to a rock concert.
Yep,
where he played at that night. And then the next day he did a
same day.
Was it the same day?
No, next day
next
because
morning.
Yeah, next
Penny's
morning.
there in Tommy's jacket.
Yeah, exactly.
So they left the police station.
Also, it was the same day.
Yeah.
And then went right to the press conference.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Met up with him, went to the police station, got Penny, then went straight to the conference.
And then Sydney and Penny were both there.
Yep,
This whole movie
For some
takes
reason.
like it's
2 days, 3 days,
3
maybe?
days in Buckaroo's life.
Yeah.
This movie.
But also, how could a guy like my other thought was this egotistical asshole probably is horribly on cocaine and is going to crash someday because there's no way you can keep up that schedule.
No.
Unless you're an alien or are on crack cocaine.
Well, you got to remember too, though, there's moments in between each of these scenes where we're back on the party van. That is also
the
Air
tour
Force
bus.
One, which is also a dojo, which is also like Buckaroo reading philosophy books or then just meditating with his samurai sword.
Yeah.
And it's just like, We never get the sword.
Yeah, that was a letdown.
I know I wanted a sword fight, but like we never get the sword.
What did that break? What's my favorite thing it broke?
Isn't it Chekhov's sword?
Chekhov's katana.
Chekhov's katana. There was no Chekhov's katana.
But then we get introduced to the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, there's some chirping. Like they've worked with these people, and like it's you get next time Banzai or next time Hong Kong Cavalier as they just narrowly escape or pull off the thing that the government clearly doesn't think they're ever going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Banzai addresses the theory of relativity within interdimensional travel, within a bunch of mumbo jumbo. There's matter and the particles and all of this shit. And then Penny pipes up and being like, well, it's just a baby. It's a big bang within a baby bang within a rock.
I like how she explains that. And the way she explains it is as if she's like a genius.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because no, that is the way she regurgitates it so that we as laymen understand.
Explode and make space. And I think that's why Worfen thought that she was a doctor.
That does make sense, but I just assumed he thought that because he was
part of
with
the
her.
crew.
Yeah.
But there's this whole, she explains it in a not layman's way.
Right.
And like, that didn't help me understand what the hell's going on at all.
You see Jersey or Sydney looking at her like, what the fuck are you
Why is she talking
about?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Buckaroo's like, no, you're right. Oh my God.
I never would have thought of it that way.
No, you're correct. Right. And he's like, wow, this girl's smart.
Yeah. Oh my God. And she's just all asunder in a mess at on front stage with a mic at a conference.
Well, she's like, stop talking. And it's like, you're in front of everybody. They can see, like, you're acting weird.
That wasn't my favorite scene on there. We forgot about it, where the press secretary or like the defense secretary, he said he's talking awkwardly, and I think it's Perfect Tom.
Perfect Tommy, yeah.
Perfect
Kind
Tommy.
of, I forget what he says, but he says like a little quirk, like he makes fun of him
Yep.
over the mic, and he just violently goes and rips out the cable from the
it's
mic.
not the first
and tosses
time,
it. Yeah,
right?
I know.
And then that goes back to what you were just saying, where Lewis Smith totally breaks character and just is laughing at him, and they kept it in. And it's like, clearly that's like a breaking character.
I don't know if that's a breaking character, because to me, that character is playing with him and toying with him, so he would be laughing.
Yeah.
They don't take this. They clearly don't take the conference seriously. Because immediately,
this isn't the first conference. This isn't the second conference. We have a phone call from the president, and Banzai
But which
goes,
president?
Which president? Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I care? And he goes, the president of the United States. And he goes, oh, not oh shit, just oh. And we also get told that there is a motorcycle convention happening for Harley Davidson.
And they're pressed for time.
And they're pressed for time because they got to get out of the room that they're in to do the press conference.
I like how the government has to get out of a room early.
Right.
I mean, if they're talking about a biker gang.
Right. Banzai then goes to take the call from the president, which is actually the black Lectroids trying to communicate with him. He is electrified and shocked to shit as he falls out of his phone booth. Ladies and gentlemen, those were things that were populated all over the place, like TARDISes, and jots down a formula that allows him to see the Lectroids among us.
Yes.
He runs back into the conference room and points out
he's
evil
like,
incarnate.
conference room now. And everyone's like, what the hell?
The dude just got
Sydney's
zapped out
like,
of the
does
phone
this
booth?
happen a lot? Like, what are we doing?
And we get the scene that inspired John Carpenter's They Live.
Oh.
Because now
With
he
the
has
glasses.
the vision to see the aliens that have been there forever.
Okay, so when I was watching that scene, I was very thinking, wow, this is reminding me of They Live.
Yeah.
And I couldn't quite figure it out. So this inspired that.
That's another movie. So Back to the Future.
He worked on Big
They
Trouble.
Live.
I didn't know which one happened first.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
but there's a reason where we're going with
Where if you
who's
get
in.
this formula, or if you then they eventually do it, you can see.
I just love that the moment you see their faces,
Put
the
on
aliens
the
become a
glasses.
lot scarier. They become a lot less scarier because they've kind of got this like.
Well, it's very like
Calamarian.
Yeah. But they don't look, because of the big eyes, they look kind of just derpy.
Yeah.
So they're just like, and the way they hold their hands, and they're just, and they
Yeah.
realize their jig is up,
The jig
and they're
is
like,
up. Oh shit, they can see us.
yeah.
So at the same time that they do that to Buckaroo, they put out the pod to Earth.
The black
The black Lectroids put out the like go send out like the droid basically.
Go send out the ship.
The ship.
We need
go
to get this
to the
information
ship. We
them.
need people on the surface.
The red Lectroids then apprehend Hataka, who is held at gunpoint by Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
And kidnapped.
Yes.
At which point,
Yeah, they crashed the conference when Buckaroo is figuring all this out.
yep. At which point, there's a chase scene and some weird hallway action.
Yeah, there's a waiter with like a server, and he's literally like, not in a sexy way where it's like one hand on hip and leaning. He's like,
Boxed her
this.
the fuck
Boxed
in.
her
and
in.
you can tell she's like, what the heck?
She's got her arms closed,
yeah,
kind of
you can
across.
tell she's uncomfortable. It's just like this.
She is not comfortable. Like, oh my lord.
And
And
then
they're
they-
wheeling motorcycles in the background.
Yeah, you can see now the motorcycle conventions coming in.
Yeah.
Which leads to Buckaroo's escape on a Harley Davidson.
Well, the chase scene at this point as they
I am
trash down the red Lectroids.
Glad that they made that
Big
statement. Yeah, Mr. Big Booty. I'm glad they kind of made the statement because it makes the motorcycles just randomly lined up make sense. Like to
Yeah.
me, that's good writing.
I think it's just added dialogue.
It is.
At
They
that
added
point.
a piece of dialogue to it just to make it more sense.
and they had the
Yeah.
Harley Davidson engineer that they like, the engineers of Harley Davidson put the man in space and all that. So they had little like set dressings around it
Yeah.
too.
I don't know. I think like there's a lot with this movie where you get little stories in the background that happen, whether it's the guys on the control board or the people in the hospital or the waiter, where it's like, what the fuck is going on there? Because even in the hospital scene, in the opening moment of the movie, Clancy Brown's talking about like, oh yeah, we're doing experimental surgery where you can have like remote control, mind control to tell someone to like raise your right arm. And Clancy's like, no, you can fire a gun or throw a harpoon.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's like, that's terrifying.
Yep.
And you don't know if that's where they were setting up for the like Buckaroo versus the World Crime League. You don't know if, like what was happening for the next movie that they were going to make or the book that Dark Horse puts
they
out.
made 13. There's 13 Buckaroo Banzais out, and a new one's coming out next year.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I looked at, I seen it. They're not, I don't know if they're only released. There was a lot of BBC, so I don't know if it was all like direct to TV.
Wait, BBC?
Like, yeah.
Like British broadcasting
I
channel.
seen it because I was looking up like other references, and it's like, yeah, there are 13 Buckaroo Banzais.
No.
Buckaroo Banzais, but I don't know if they came out in theaters, but they have been released. Probably TV movies.
Bro, I don't want to have to do this to you.
Oh no, is that a? Am I getting fact checked?
There was a television series in development, but it fell apart. Buckaroo Banzai and the Ancient Secrets of the New Mysterious was never released. There was a special edition DVD containing a short computer animation sequence that never really made it out. The clip depicted the space shuttle trying to land with broken landing gears and Dr. Banzai maneuvering his jet car under the shuttle.
See, this is
to
what
use it to
happens
take
when you
place.
just read one website and you don't cross-reference anything.
Kevin Smith himself loved the idea and was adapting the concept into film or television through MGM Television and Amazon Studios, but that deal later fell apart. Facebook apparently owns the rights. Facebook Live owns the rights to Buckaroo Banzai at the present moment, but is in a legal dispute with MGM over
Okay, never mind.
creators'
Scratch
origins
that.
creativity.
Sorry.
Wow.
So there was nothing else. This is it. The only thing we have in other media is other references like Ready Player One, video games, and comic books that sort of kind of fizzled out, as well as Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League, which is how this movie ends, which was later released through Dark Horse Comics. That was fan crowdsourced and written by the original writer and director of the film.
Wow, okay.
Or writer of the film, not director. Sorry.
Okay.
Which was the sequel. And I have read a couple of reviews on Audible, and apparently it is boring as shit. It just is a lot of Jesus Christ, meandering.
Yeah.
Okay. So they crashed the press conference.
Get us back on that plot.
They kidnapped the professor.
Yes.
They didn't get the thruster yet.
No.
No. The thruster is played hot potato through three different characters.
So
as
they knew he was going to be there. So John Warfin sent his cronies, which is John Big Booty.
Big Booty.
Big Booty.
At this point, it's Big
And
Booty.
I don't know the other guy's name, but he had a partner. Other John.
I forget his name. John
there was-
Emdahl. John, no.
No, that was the
That was
red.
yeah. That was a woman named John?
Oh, he's not credited here.
Yes,
but
he is. John O'Connor.
John O'Connor.
John
Okay, so
O'Connor.
John O'Connor, which was great, and John Big Booty are tasked with trying to steal the thruster and the professor.
Yes.
But at the time, he had written down, like when he got electrified, he had the formula in his hand. He licks his hand, presses it on the professor's head.
No, that was way later. That's
so
way later.
we've got the spaceship that still comes down. In which
I'm
case we
jumping.
are
Go on.
cut to two hunters seeing this shell-like crustacean aircraft come zooming overhead. They fire at it. It then lands and crashes into a tree. And at which points we get a scene where it's like, take my guns. I'm not letting the guns down. Get the stick. I'm not going to have the stick. Bubba and Burke. The ship drops down and starts to roll towards them. And there's just this massive ball.
I got Indiana Jones vibe for a moment there.
Yeah, it was weird. One of the black Lectroids climbs out, falls, cracks his head. The problem with the black Lectroids, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is played predominantly by people of color. They are actually black Lectroids.
Yeah.
It's not like
Rastafarian.
they're Rastafarian, which is a cool shift, but it's also that sweet spot of fetishizing different cultures of like, we need to like diversitize just to diversify, but that also is the crux of this movie. Like, it fetishizes Asian cultures just as bad as Blade Runner. When you think cyberpunk, immediately you think like, oh, Japanese neon. And it's like, well, no, you can have cyberpunk in Britain. You don't have to have any of that. Like, you can move it around without having it to not steal or borrow from other cultures, but be that the flagstone of that your genre is built off of.
It was very clear obviously the American military acted classically American military.
Right.
Then you had the Buckaroo Banzai group,
Hong Kong
who
group.
was, a group, an amalgamation of a bunch of people from a bunch of different cultures. And then there was clearly the red Lectoids, who were basically just Nazis.
White dude,
They
Nazi
were-
white dudes.
Nazi white dudes.
Yeah, because John, the leader of the red one, instead, basically, he is your equivalent of Hitler.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Orphan.
the black Lectoids are clearly Rastafarian. So they did create like a cultural difference between the groups, so you kind of knew who was who. But at the same time, maybe you shouldn't have just called them black Lectoids.
Doesn't hold up.
Yeah, doesn't hold up.
There's a lot of Nazi imagery in this. Like the guy, the guard in the insane asylum that gets killed by Orphan was wearing a hat with like the Nazi like Z.
Yeah.
And then he had all of his medals.
Yes.
And it's like very much like, and just how they were working was very communist.
Yes. Not communist, fascist.
Fascist. Sorry. Yeah.
You have the original experiment by Hataka being in 38.
During the war. Yeah.
Before the war, or right at the crux of the war, right?
Yep.
Japan. He's speaking, Leguizamo's speaking broken Italian. There is a little bit of like, oh, it was Nazi scientists that were aliens trying to get home, and also being like, oh, that Hitler guy is not so bad. You know what I mean? Don't clip that out.
Like you
I'm
said,
just
there's
saying.
a lot of subplots where it's like, wait a minute, like what happened after?
Right. So speaking of Lithgow's Italian accent, he mimicked and learned the Italian dialect from his tailor.
Okay. It was clearly a crappy, jokey version of Italian dialect, but I didn't care because every character was zany.
Yep.
And it's like, this isn't trying to be legit. I was fine with that.
He had his tailor record lines. So he went home, listened to the way that Taylor talked enough that he got him credited in the movie as his dialect coach.
He walked around.
was his
He walked
actual
around
voice.
on set with a recorder, and he would
copying this
hear
man's
the guy's
voice.
how he would speak, and then he would put it back in his pocket and go do a
so
scene.
he mimicked an actual
mimic
Italian
it.
guy, so
To
that in
mimic
a
it.
way it might be a caricature of his voice, but it's still based on a real person.
Yeah.
Funny. I like that.
But he is credited in the credits.
Remember, folks, even an Italian accent can be racist. So, where are we at? Buckaroo Banzai. Then
He's on his motorcycle. He
gets
chases
a
after.
pickup.
No.
He
Oh no, we're already at the aliens where the
Yo-yo-
black Lectoids get out. One of them dies immediately.
Yeah, cracks his
And
head
then
open.
one that looked exactly like the first one gets out
he
too.
morphs into the same.
Yeah.
And they're
Very
like, wait, when he
similar.
dies, he morphed back into a Lectoid. And the Hicks are like, what the heck? And then you have the Yo-Yo Dine, who is John Big Butte.
Yes.
And his partners show up trying to have an authority.
They're a
over-
military propulsion company.
Yes.
That helps develop technology for the American military.
Government, yeah.
But really what they are a group of red Lectoids that develop technology so they can earn money, so they can build the technology to get to the 8th dimension, I think, in order to, I don't know why he was trying to go to the 8th dimension.
They want to get back home.
Yeah, but I thought 8th dimension was not where their home was. Their home was the 10th planet, the one outside of Pluto.
I think you have to go through the 8th dimension to get
to home.
Yeah.
Right, because the time travel, like the travel through this. Okay, fair
So
enough.
they show up on the crime scene trying to convince the police that they are like basically like an FBI type. And then that, because they clip, that is who, Buckaroo Banzai is chasing on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
He sees the van go and he knows they have the professor.
Yes.
So he gets clipped, calls Rawhide being like, hey, I'm sending you the signal where I'm going.
Rawhide Tom Clancy.
Yes. So then he
Clancy
shows
Brown.
up
Clancy Brown,
while
sorry.
they're busy with the police and
Tom
trying
Clancy.
to figure out what happened. He breaks into the van, transfers the code
That's when he
onto
does the
the
licking, yeah.
professor. And at the same time, basically when he's trying to escape, when they figure out like, oh shit, there's Buckaroo Banzai, get him. Because there's a comic book, they pretty much know, like, you know, the red Lectoid or the black Lectoids know who he is. So they're like, fuck, we got to get Buckaroo Banzai.
Mm-hmm.
They put out the call for help.
And then the main ship of the red Lectoids tells the remaining the black Lectoids tells
This is so like wild.
tells
story.
the remaining Lectoid in the
command ship of black
to
Lectoids that is
destroy it.
orbiting around Earth.
Yes. Sends a call to the remaining
Yeah.
black Lectoid in the ball to self-destruct.
Yeah, because there was 3 people in the ship. One remained behind and blew itself up. One died by hitting its head on a rock, and
Yeah.
the other one got away.
So they're playing chess on
Yeah.
these really high seats because they
Yeah.
can jump, I guess.
Yeah. So they die. The one gets away, runs away, has a cake box, which comes up later. They go after Buckaroo. Buckaroo gets away.
Buckaroo gets away after they put out the call to the fan club to go
Yeah.
help Buckaroo get picked up. And one of the junior blue Banzais gets a hold of his dad, who owns a gas station.
Dad,
a couch
Buckaroo's in
business.
problem.
They
What?
sell couches.
They sell coaches, gas, and apparently they have a helicopter. And they fly and get Buckaroo out of a sticky situation just in the midst of a few seconds.
I took that more as like, because of the way they grew up, I figured he was like a local helicopter pilot that also had gas for his helicopter, and he helped do fly things above people's cornfields and stuff like that. He was a pilot, a generic local pilot of whatever sort.
Man's hustling.
Yeah, man's hustling, but he had to sell a couch because I need money and I got to sell my couch.
The Blue Blaze Irregulars are kind of his secondary branch of just people he has around to help him out.
Yeah.
Like a club in a way.
What a crazy
It
concept.
reminds me of the
within-
Warriors of the different gangs, right?
Well, they reference when they call in for help and they get like
The
everybody.
Rug Suckers is
Yeah.
one, and the Blue Blaze Irregulars.
Yes.
This movie's wild.
It's fucking bananas.
I feel
there's
so bad
much
for our
lore and
listeners
history.
I'm sorry
and
for
our
the audio
watchers who are
listeners.
so confused by the story plot. It is so hard to like get a through line.
So realistically, I'm going to break this down a little shorter for everybody. John Parker delivers the message from the Black Lectoids.
The one that got away.
We have the team sitting in the studio / lab
Compound.
They all make note of how Peggy looks like Buckaroo's ex-wife or
Yes.
dead wife.
Penny.
How Penny looks
Penny
like
looks
Peggy.
like Peggy.
Whatever. Penny looks
Also,
like...
what are the odds that 2 twins that look alike and get separated? One's in the Netherlands, get named
becomes the
so
queen
closely.
of the Netherlands? Yeah.
They might have been named before she was adopted. She might have had the
I
name
guess that's
from the
true.
parents, Peggy and Penny.
There's a room covered in grapefruit, and Jeff Goldblum brings up the Orson Welles radio show after they discover that there is a large group of employees that work for Yo-Yo propulsion system, all named John.
Yeah.
What did we think of the Orson Welles from the wine commercial? You know what I mean? It's so good.
Well, because he figured out, because he's like, what was the name of the
date.
town?
War of the
It was a
Worlds.
specific town that was the town based from
From
War of the Worlds. But he's like, why does October why does that sound so familiar? Then he does a little rhyme about how to remember which of the dates, which of the
He does
which
that
of the
Jeff
months.
Gold hand kind of hand
because
gestures.
he was trying to figure out the rhyme that people use to figure out which months have 31 days and 30. So then he's like, wait, Halloween or October 1938 is the same time that Orson Welles came out with War of the Worlds and convinced the people that there's aliens, but then backtracked saying it was just a radio broadcast.
So while the Cavaliers plan their response, the Red Lectroids break into the Institute and kidnap Penny, unaware that she has captured, or unaware that she has the overthruster and is carrying it.
She doesn't have it yet.
Yeah, she got it at the end. Before they kidnapped Dr. Hikati, whatever.
Oh, this is happening
so they
at the
break
same time.
in. Yeah.
This is happening at the same time.
He got it, hand her, yeah.
Yeah, he hands it to her, they break in. I'm just jumping.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, they broke in. They also they have these weird little spider things that take people out.
Oh, we skipped over a part.
Yeah.
So John,
Okay. We're gonna do the whole movie.
No, John sees the two jump over.
Yes.
John Big Booty.
No.
John O'Connor.
No. It was John. I forget the black lectoid. John Parker.
Yes.
John Parker, the black
watching.
lectoid.
Yeah, he hands off the cake box, saying, "I need to see Buckaroo Banzai," and they're like, "Well, everyone does. No, you're not getting in." So then he goes into the bushes, watches the other two break in.
Yes.
Realizes he can just jump in. He gets captured.
I do love that. I can jump.
Yeah. He gets
Gravity,
captured.
right?
They
This
get
is his first time on Earth.
They get the
True.
disc that then explains the black lectoids are basically forcing their hand to stop the red ones, or else they're going to take out all of the electronics on the planet.
No, I think their solution was they were going to basically bomb Russia.
Yeah. To make it look.
Because this was during 80s, right?
Yeah.
End of the Cold War. This was we'll bomb Russia, and that'll convince Russia that the Americans did it, and then you'll just kill each other.
Exactly.
That's their this is we don't have a big weapon of destruction.
No, they're just going to make it look
We're just
like
going to make
the
it look like it,
States.
so we destroy each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the ultimatum of get this figured out by sunset, or else we're going to screw up your planet.
Yeah. Well, we'll help you kill yourselves.
Yeah, so then you get more background on the black lectoids versus the red, and you get more background about who is on whose side. Like John Parker is a good guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have to say,
Penny gets kidnapped.
I love the disc
Then
that
Penny
has
gets kidnapped, and then that'll happen.
I love the disc that plays this message that has the bug as the
record player.
the record player
Yeah.
needle, but it's like a bug.
Yeah.
I love it.
Penny gets kidnapped. Yo-Yo Dime calls saying they've got Penny. We've got your girlfriend, Banzai.
We've got your doctor, but she can't help solve the problem.
Yeah.
She can't help solve this
and then
formula.
he's like, "Doctor."
Doctor. Penny, we get the classic line of Penny, get off the phone.
They give her to be fair, they give her the phone to be scream so your boyfriend knows we mean it. And he's just get off the phone.
It's like she literally can't, and you don't care about her at all as a person.
Well, we get the idea that there's more at stake, and unfortunately, Banzai is also kind of buying for time.
Yeah.
In a way, because he's already just been told he's running out of time. It is revealed that Yo-Yo Dime has been building spacecrafts to cross over to the 8th dimension, disguised as the United States Air Force bomber. While the Cavaliers are planning their response, the Red Lectoids break into the Institute and kidnap Penny. We get a gun shootout. Clancy Brown dies, and we get a very, very close monologue of just kiss me. Kiss me, Buckaroo. As he pulls an Apache, a spider from space, from the 8th dimension, off of his back. John Parker tells the group that there is no cure for that, and pretty much if you get hit with one of these, you are dead.
Are those little bug things what they're spitting out at people?
I think
believe so.
Okay, that was very confusing to me.
Yeah.
Because they were spitting these high velocity things that would just knock people off their feet.
Because
Okay. All right. I didn't realize that.
They then steal the jet car.
the stakes are raised. They do not steal the jet car. The jet car is never stolen. It is broken into.
Oh,
and,
they're looking for the thruster.
The thruster. The team regroups. They finish the theory and the formula, in which case now the Hong Kong Cavaliers can now see the aliens, and they lock and load when
You get a great scene of Jeff Goldblum because it's aerosol.
Yeah.
Where he inhales it, and then he looks back at John Parker, seeing him as a lectoid for the first time, and he looks, and he's like, the fuck? And
Well, he
then
doesn't
looks
do that
back.
first. Buckaroo's they look ugly by our standards. First of all, dick move, buddy.
Yeah.
Second of all, that's immediately when Jeff Goldblum's Sydney kind of goes, really? And you see him he looks back, he's human at first, kind of takes a whiff and looks back and goes, oh God.
And then looks back again. It's like, what?
Does a double take.
So through multiple versions of torture and terror, Penny is assaulted. Buckaroo and the team finally roll up, crashing the jet car through.
They organize an entire plan, like your team this, your Bravo 6 this, which as far as I can tell turned out to be nothing of use in what we saw.
Well, they rush in guns a-blazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Shooting pretty much all of the Lectroids, or the red Lectroids. It is a nest, a hive, if you will. We do get our first couple shots of this huge red Lectroid crustacean spacecraft, which is pretty cool. From there, Buckaroo is apprehended, tortured, electrified, and is asked to punch in the coordinates to solve the theory of the relativity of the overthruster so they can make one to solve those problems.
On a mini hand-sized piano as a keyboard.
So ridiculous. At which point the team breaks in, shuts the power off, releasing Buckaroo. All hell breaks loose. And at this point, John Big Booty and Lord Worfen continue to clash heads. Worfen says, fuck it, we need to leave. Install my overthruster. We'll do it with my science. We can make it. The whole group has arguably lost faith completely in Worfen. Reluctantly, they load up onto the spacecraft, as well as Buckaroo Banzai and John Parker. John Parker are fired out of space after the experiment fails, and they do not make it through the 8th dimension. In which case,
they break through the wall into the New Brunswick or above New Jersey.
Yeah.
Lord Worfen decides, fuck it, we're going to just destroy the planet and we'll take over ourselves. Banzai and John Parker shoot down Worfen's spacecraft.
With one shot.
With one big major laser blast. Yeah. And then Buckaroo parachutes out, landing. John Parker salutes him as they zip away.
Flies back to his mothership that's orbiting the planet.
Landing, and the planet is saved. They call off saying, hey, we don't need to destroy the planet or fire at Russia.
Yep.
Buckaroo meets up with the Cavaliers. Jeff Goldblum's character pretty much says, hey, Penny isn't going to be all right.
Well, they tortured her. They had fire ants on her at one point with honey.
Spiders.
They had the spiders out. They had a slug on a track that was essentially, I'm assuming, going to go into like her mouth somehow, like alien and like...
Not a clue.
But we don't know because they and then at one point it showed her being like assaulted and like shoved into like water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like she went through a lot.
Yeah, she definitely got waterboarded in a pond.
Yeah.
In a gross, dingy, industrial pond.
When they were transferring her through the different facility, and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Gotta love the 80s.
Gotta love the 80s.
Violence against women. That's the biggest trope, right? It's like, oh my God.
There's no violence like violence against women.
Jesus. At that point, Buckaroo meets with Jeff Goldblum's New Jersey, and he tells Buckaroo that he's done everything he can, and Penny is unconscious, dead apparently in the back room.
I'm assuming she died.
Yeah, we're gonna assume.
Yeah.
Buckaroo then leans in.
I don't know why, but I feel like he trolled Buckaroo.
I think she wasn't breathing.
Okay.
She was under the sheet the wrong way, which always bugs me that they put her with her feet at the pillow. But I think that might be like a medical thing. I have a feeling. I don't know. But like she was laying the wrong way in the bed.
I just assumed they laid her down in whatever way they could fucking put someone down so they could start working on her.
Buckaroo leans in to kiss this woman that he barely knows and electrifies her back to life with the power of the black Lectroids. The black Lectroids kind of smile and go, oh, well, we can wink at the camera and sort of save the day. Yeah. Penny comes back alive and kisses Buckaroo, and we get our last shot of a black Lectroid as Penny closes the window to so what, big deal.
Yeah.
And the movie ends to a black screen, and then with very overly dramatic speeding logo of Buckaroo Banzai will return against the World Crime League, which never necessarily happened. Like I said earlier, Dark Horse Comics continued the story with a novel. And then we get the iconic fucking shot. We get the shot. We get everybody's back to life. All of the dead characters have returned.
You had the same reaction I did.
Yeah.
When Rawhide came out, I'm like, didn't he die?
They all start
Yeah, it didn't make
walking
any
out
sense.
to the Buckaroo Banzai anthem, which originally, when that shot was seen, or the scene was shot, it was Billy Joel's Uptown Girl.
Oh,
So if you
I like that
watch-
movie more, that song more. but-
If you watch it to Uptown Girl, they're dancing to Uptown Girl, not the
With
Buckaroo
the same
Banzai
like
music.
BPM.
Really?
Yeah, and it tracks perfectly, but they didn't have the music finished, and they didn't know exactly what they were going to
They
do
couldn't
with
get the
it.
licensing for it at the time.
They wanted something unique. They didn't want Uptown Girl, so they dance around to Uptown Girl. Perfect Tommy changes outfits 3 times, and you didn't even notice. It happens
Yeah,
so
'cause
much.
He remember he was wearing no shirt, the
With-
white, and then
the big necklace,
the
yeah.
silver necklace, and then the
Yeah.
next shot, I think he was wearing like a white suit with like a shirt underneath.
And then it goes back to the gray suit.
Yeah. They shot it 6 months after the ending because they didn't think the ending that they shot was like grand enough.
Really?
So they
Yeah.
brought them all back.
I gotta go
6
rewatch
months.
that to see if I.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna watch it a million times.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, that's
It's a classic roll call.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Wow, it's a wild movie that doesn't make much sense. I won't say it makes no sense. It makes not much sense.
I'm imagining it like if you have like a thread taut, and then you just are going like this. And like
Yeah.
there's so many like subplots and things that are happening where it's like, wait, aren't they going to go back? Like we didn't even talk about when they were looking for the professor through the compound. It was I think Reno and Jersey, and you had mentioned grapefruits. So there's fruit on the set. They walk in, and even you were like, there's just a random watermelon in one of the sets that they were just walking through, and Jeff Goldblum's like, why is there a watermelon there? And then Reno's like, I'll tell you later. They never did.
Do you want to go with the story of the watermelon?
Do you want to know the watermelon, or do you want to like?
What does it come
secret?
up in the cartoon in the comic?
No, this is like the director.
Told it afterwards in
Do you want
interviews.
do you want it to leave it a mystery? In
Nah, tell me the story. I want to
So
know.
apparently, the whole thing about that is that they were using fruit and watermelons and grapefruits and all that
Throughout the whole movie.
to test the drop. Basically to drop food onto poverty areas. They wanted to see like the pressure, like if you could drop a watermelon in a box, and if it would explode.
I mean,
And then also another funny thing. So that's what the director said. It was like, oh, it's part of an experiment that we were working on. Like, don't worry about it. And then what the cast was saying was they were testing to see with the improv if the director and the producers even were looking at the film.
Is the studio watching?
So the
Can
fact
we
they're
hide
like,
shit?
they're like, hey, if we improv this and they don't take it out, it means that they're not actually watching this and we can just run with whatever.
oh,
Which explains why all the improv was so great, because that was in the final cut. And if the producers actually watched it, they probably would have cut it.
So they're showing
Yeah.
the movie cut in certain clips of it, and there's fruit through the whole movie. There's fruit in the whole movie that you might not notice at all.
No, I didn't
And
notice
that
at
was
all.
that was it.
And that was Jeff
They had to send the
Goldblum.
studio. Okay, send us some footage.
Yeah,
Jeff
Send us some
Goldblum
studies. Send us
improv
more
that.
footage.
So that was a whole improv scene that they thought they would just get. They were trying to get away with it, but they figured the director would cut. But nobody was actually paying attention to what they were filming.
And if the studio never sent back notes saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, why the fuck is there
Why
a
is there so much
watermelon?
grapefruit
Why is there
Why
grapefruit?
is this
Why are there
watermelon?
apples?
What's this
Why are-
watermelon scene all about?
Yeah, because the
Right.
guy was eating an apple. Yeah.
There's throughout the whole movie, bananas, watermelon, grapefruit. There's just fruit everywhere. And
I think they
there
were
was-
fucking with the production.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
they never got
But
caught.
then the director was like, "Oh, actually, that's to do with this subplot that because he's working with like a humanitarian."
Yeah. You try to make
also
sense of it.
didn't really know that they were going over budget. They didn't really know. Like, this movie is a fucking party to make.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it's wild.
yeah.
It's kind of like Barbarella, where we spent most of our money on partying and
And we built
Oh.
these
Whoops.
fabulous sets. Oops.
Well, I think and we're gonna. Oh wait, go on.
I was just going to go props and special effects if there was
Okay.
anything that held up, but go for it. Because
There
we're
you go. Well, that's
going
what I was
into
gonna get
eyebrows
into.
next.
I think they did a really good job with this, with the alien spaceships and the makeup, and really putting up like that. Like, they were believable as a species.
I disagree.
Okay.
The spaceships were interestingly designed.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I thought the aliens were just like, it felt like generic alien suit rubber masks that you would put on
okay.
people. And the hands, you can tell, were just gloves with like extra, like the fingers were just floppy at the end. So like it did not convince me. That felt very B movie to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was really inspired by the old B sci-fi movies of the past. But yeah, I get that. Does it hold up, folks? Does Buckaroo Banzai hold up as a film?
Oh God. The first question I think that must be asked is, did it hold up when it was put out?
No.
No one liked it.
Nobody liked this fucking movie.
So the second question is, did it hold up? It would have to have raised higher rather than just holding up, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, it got worse. It might have stayed put, but this is a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's a straight up bad movie. It's got terrible writing.
Yeah. It's clunky.
It's clunky. It goes up and
Who's
down.
the wise guy there? I said, who's the wise guy? And that's exactly how he said it. There was no energy behind it.
Exactly.
Oh my God, is Buckaroo Banzai in the room with us right now?
Oh no, that was like the mechanic guy.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's cold. Anyone that wasn't acting as if they didn't give a shit, like anyone that wasn't just going so far over the top, was just terrible.
Yeah.
Peter Weller
You didn't like, well, I don't care where you're from. This is New Jersey. I want music out of you clowns.
Yeah.
Come on now, monkey boy.
Oh, yeah, they were calling all the humans monkey boys.
Yes.
Continue with your thought, please.
Yeah, the writing was awful. It was, and not just like dialogue writing. Sometimes you can have good dialogue writing, but bad story writing. This was bad on both parts.
Delivery, you mean?
But
Well, they call it like art. They call it dialogue writing.
There was a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it stayed true to the plot the entire time.
I don't know if there was an end. I'm very
it kind of
confused.
just tapered out. Yeah.
There was no, also when you got to like the end of Act 2, the beginning of Act 3, where it's supposed to be this biggest peak of energy and, oh my God, are they going to make it through? You know, I mean, there's supposed to be questions and it's supposed to be very emotional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they were torturing Penny.
That's the joke of the movie, folks.
Yeah, that's the joke. Buckaroo is just like, oh, you're being tortured? More important things to do.
Well,
There's
he
no
didn't care.
emotion. He didn't
care until she died.
The
'cause
world's at
he's
stake.
reliving his wife's death again.
It doesn't matter.
But also, I think it's so creepy that he pretty much only cared about her because she was a copy of his wife.
And you don't feel that emotion because there's no history there. So because they're putting you into the beginning of a story, you feel no emotional tie to, wow, this Avengers group. It's as if we started watching on like the second Avengers movie.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're watching Mission Impossible 5.
Yeah,
Not 1, not who are the, and they're just referencing missions and events and people that have died.
Well, you
and
nailed
the
it on the
MacGuffins.
head, where you're like, it didn't really, and you're right too, it didn't really start and it never really ended.
And you're
so
right,
we were
too.
watching like a middle of a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. This middle adventure. We were watching one pulp adventure of this guy that clearly has a bigger story here. And because of that, I had no connections to the characters. I couldn't feel the energy and the connection between the characters. And so you get that bad dialogue, bad story that just can't figure out what the hell this is about. And you just have a movie where, like I said, I laughed a lot. But I laughed for some of the characters like John Lithgow, who just played this wild character.
Oh, he stole the show.
He stole the show.
Yeah.
And that was very entertaining in that way. I laughed a lot at his and a lot of the bad dialogue. I laughed at the movie, not with the movie.
Did it hold up?
No.
Okay. Amanda, did it hold up?
Sorry. I think just
Answer the fucking question.
I don't know
We'll get
if
to the
it
rating
did.
at the end.
I would love to, like, I don't even know if I would want to see this like redone because like the jokes, I don't know. Yeah, it was more the blunders that
I think
were
you
made
could
funny.
redo it if you treated it like we're all going to make fun of this movie together.
I don't think you could
I
because you
don't know
look at the
because it would
Ghostbusters
turn
remake.
too campy.
True.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think you look at the Ghostbusters remake and there's nothing wrong with that Ghostbusters movie except the movie itself. The writing's bad. We
Yeah.
like Melissa McCarthy. We like all of these fucking women that play
They're all
Ghostbusters.
great when they all do their
we
own
like
thing.
these comedians.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with, and I don't mean to cut you off and I apologize, but I think the concept of Buckaroo Banzai and why it works and doesn't work is because everyone in it is so fucking charming, whether you like them or
Yeah.
not. And
Yeah.
we like Peter Weller, RoboCop. We like John Lithgow. We like Jeff Goldblum. We like Christopher Lloyd. We like Clancy fucking Brown. Like this movie's packed with a killer
I
cast.
think the cast is the reason why it is still successful.
True.
Because like there's interviews where they're like, we don't even understand now what the movie was about, but like you said, we all had fun, and it just the point of it, maybe looking at it like it's the bottom rung in order for all these other movies and actors to move on to their now why they're famous.
Yeah.
And the reference is, like you said, Fight Club.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the Fight Club reference.
What?
Have you seen Fight Club?
Yeah, I've seen Fight Club.
Okay, so when Brad Pitt is punching Jared Leto's character,
I just wanted to punch something pretty.
What's his name?
Perfect Tommy.
Is that his name?
Yeah, there's a whole
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't
there's
know-
a
I didn't know that.
whole
He's perfect,
Buckaroo,
and that's why he wants to destroy something beautiful.
there's a whole Perfect
that's
Tommy
funny.
like Buckaroo Banzai reference within Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
there's
didn't
been-
catch that.
Yeah, Banzai's been referenced through a ton of media and literature.
So what do you think? Do you think it can
I
hold
don't
up?
know. Yeah, like to finish, I don't know if it holds up, but I do appreciate where it is.
Yeah.
Back in 1984.
Yeah. I don't think I think it holds up as a great cult movie. I understand why it's a cult movie.
I understand why it's a
definitely
cult movie.
I definitely see why people love it.
Yeah.
I get why people are like ride or die. I don't think it could be remade. And my point with the Ghostbusters is exactly when it starts falling itself.
Yeah.
It just there is something that happened in a time frame of what they could get away with.
Yeah.
Right? Dan Aykroyd, all of those Saturday night actors and comedians and just the crew that worked on it. This feels exactly like that.
Yeah, it
right.
does.
I think Buckaroo Banzai is special because of the cast that worked
I
on it.
almost
I
feel
don't think it would work.
This
as a
is
story that
closer
works.
to like The
Yeah.
Room, but like sci-fi The Room with a bigger budget.
No, man, this feels more like a Ghostbusters than The Room.
Okay.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I
fair
think
enough.
I think when's the last time you watched The Room?
A few years ago now.
That's what I mean, right? I think for the budget and the story that is here but not present but thing.
It's a different like theme, but the idea is its failure is what made it. Its terribleness is what made it culty and what made it funny because we laugh at it. Just like The Room, we laugh at it. And we all agree that it's culty because we all laugh at it for being so bad.
See, that's the opposite though. Like I genuinely think there's parts of this movie that are funny. I'm not laughing at it like I'm
think it's
laughing
the
at
improv.
The Room. like The Room also
Yeah.
to second that point against The Room. This has good actors in it.
True.
Like not
But
to-
they're clearly not getting their chance to be as good as they could be.
Abso-fucking-lutely, yes,
But
they are.
then afterwards, like
Yes,
Jeff
they
Goldblum
are.
moved on to Jurassic Park. Christopher Lloyd went on to
Back
do
to Future.
Future.
RoboCop, fucking
Yeah,
John
but
Lithgow got
what I'm
on,
saying is
yeah.
they didn't get the opportunity. I honestly feel like the only person who was a air quotes good actor in this movie, air quotes, is John Lithgow. Lithgow.
Yeah.
Everyone else did not do a great job. They were clearly hand-tied by the script and the directing.
Yeah.
And you're comparing this to The Room.
Yeah.
Where they were fucking writing like
On the spot.
No, absolutely not. I disagree with that completely.
I just think it's a movie that was intended to be serious, and its bad writing made it funny because it was so bad. It's a disaster movie. It's one of those things where we look at it and go, "This is so funny because it's so bad."
This is written as a comedy.
Well, I thought we just talked about we agree that it was written intended to be serious, but the actors went away with it and said, "We know this is terrible."
It's a sci-fi action comedy.
Oh, okay.
Oh
well,
yeah, we did get that wrong earlier.
We are taking it at it's a sci-fi action comedy where the crux of it is we are all taking it seriously.
Oh, the
Like
audience.
it's
is taking
not
it too
silly
serious.
scientist. It is scientist. It is president reading lines. It's the stuff that it's the lines that they are saying that are funny, like the joke.
Okay. See, when we talked about, I thought we had talked about where
10 minutes ago, we did just say that we thought it was serious.
it was written to be serious, but the actors, because they realized nobody gave a shit, they went and made it a joke.
Yes, but you have to understand there are moments when there are the lines of dialogue and the sequences that play out within the events of the movie versus them running around, not necessarily either having dialogue or like, why is there a watermelon? Isn't a line in the fucking movie in the script.
Okay, we're
No,
talking
That
about
is the
same
improv
thing.
thing, right? There is
Yeah.
still like the movie and
So
the jokes that
what-
they
what we
wrote
got
as a
mixed up
serious
was
movie.
It's meant to be a comedy,
It's meant to
but
be.
the
Yeah.
audience was like, "Oh no, this is a serious movie."
Yeah, the audience, when they first
Yeah.
go to watch it, mistakenly treated it to be serious,
Like a
but it was
James Bond.
written to be a comedy.
Right, but also there's a difference within comedy of like, here is the punchline joke to deadpan
Yeah,
straight
yeah, for
person
sure.
humor,
No, we're
right?
just
it's
agreeing
dry
in a
humor.
circle.
Yeah, yeah.
It's drier humor that comes off as overacting or thing. Like, don't get me wrong, Lithgow getting launched into a wall and then acting batshit crazy is zany and is stupid. But then it all of a sudden goes to a completely different tone, to a completely different movie where it is like whispering and dry comedy. And then it goes back to a different swing.
There's one point in the story we didn't go into detail about when he's, because the whole time Lord Warfan's calling him John Big Booty. And then Christopher Lloyd's character is always saying, no, it's Booty. Like Booty. And then he finally gets sick of it when they're trying to launch into space or trying to launch into the next dimension. And he finally is like, he does like the classic, like John turns around.
Flips him the bird.
Flips him the bird. And there's a single second where you can see that John Lithgow breaks character probably for the first time in the movie where he has to like put his hand and he's like laughing. And then he turns around and kills Big Booty.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think this is a good movie. But I also don't think it is as bad as The Room.
Oh, no,
that's
no.
my difference.
It's not as bad, but it's in my mind, it's on like the reason it's culty is because it's bad.
Yeah.
Where there are other movies, it's culty because it's small, but it's a really good movie.
Right.
But it's still culty.
Yeah. Like this Flash Gordon.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
I would say something more like not Pathfinder. What was the other one, the French one that we watched?
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Brotherhood of the Wolf. Like that. That's a mechanically decent movie, but it's culty because it's just rare to find.
Yeah. It was you have to fucking watch this movie.
Exactly. So there are good cult movies.
Yeah.
This is a cult movie because it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a bad Young Frankenstein, like a Blazing Saddles.
But if they did try to remake it, it would lose that charm and they would probably screw it up.
Yeah. The world that it was in and the fact that it was air quotes a mistake. Like the fact that it was so bad was a mistake.
Unless
is what made it funny.
They bring every actor back and redo it shot for shot and not even like bring up that they're all like 40 years older.
I don't know.
Because I think everyone's still alive.
Yeah.
For the most part, that they just did it scene by scene just with the same actors. I think that'd be fucking funny.
I think Kevin Smith had the right idea for a concept of a TV show or a movie for the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
That could work.
I think of Edgar Wright even, which is quick shots and the way he shoots a movie. I think the concept of the action star, I think it's obviously like it's bloated and fucking ridiculous, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to defend this movie. I had a fun time watching it. We're gonna get to eyebrows and final thoughts.
We all had a good time.
Like we did, and it's just the movie is so fucking ridiculous that you have a hard time because it's like it's just stacking more things on top of things on top of things, and that's where it becomes like the action figure superhero thing of like the times infinity. Right? Yeah. It doesn't work. So the concept of like us in a room right now trying to armchair director it or produce it and screenwrite it and be like, okay, how would we fix Buckaroo Banzai for how it would hold up or what would we do with it to move forwards? And it's like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Unless Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension was about a guy who had a watch or some sort of MacGuffin that allowed him to travel through different dimensions.
You're talking about Doctor Who at this point.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then it doesn't, it falls apart because it just gets so silly.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. He's the guy who has an answer for everything. And that becomes boring to watch.
Yeah. If this movie was any longer than an hour and a half, I think it would have gotten a little long in the tooth. You know, it would have been
it's
okay.
Already long in the tooth.
It's the longest hour and 40-minute movie. You think it's like over 2 hours at the end. You're like, wait, how long was it?
Yeah, just because so much happens.
I mean, fuck, there's a musical number, there's a dance number, there's an action sequence, there's a space sequence, there's an operation scene.
Yeah.
Like this movie is just more scoops of ice cream and it's melting.
What it feels like, actually, I think the best way to describe it is, you know, when you were a kid and you'd go to one of those fast food restaurants and they had all the different pop stuff that you'd fill yourself.
Oh, yeah.
When you were a kid, when you just take a little bit of everything, that's exactly what this is. It's whatever mess you make when you do that.
Yeah.
I do commend them because it did work.
Sort of.
It made more sense than some other movies that...
It bombed.
I know it bombed, but like...
Did it work?
Watching it, I was able to follow it.
That's true.
Is it a cohesive story?
Yes.
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like it meanders through all this stuff, and then every once in a while there's like a spin-off. They're like, no, just ignore that route, and you just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's all these different things that are spin-offs that they don't quite finish, but the main through line, you do get to the end.
Yeah.
It's the watermelon.
Yeah.
No, it's the watermelon. And it winks and it tries to use it as mystery. And instead is it just sets things up and goes, oh, we'll get back to that later. Why is there that watermelon? I'll tell you later. What happens to this? Why is this thing? Why doesn't he have a gadget? Or he has a gadget for this, but he doesn't have a gadget for that. What's going on? Oh, we'll get to that later. It's the mystery of Buckaroo Banzai.
Yes.
And that's where it gets bloated and hung up and it dries itself out.
Yep.
It is more than enough scoops of ice cream that can't be eaten quick enough as it melts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Eyebrows. Let's bridge those brows and talk about their final thoughts and reviews. Was there any props or sets or any special effects that we loved within Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension?
Amanda?
Well, like I already said, like I liked all the spaceship scenes. Like they shelled it out really nice. That it was like, cheap effects, but they built everything practical. And that's probably where a majority of the budget went to. And also I appreciate how half the scenes was in the eyes of Buckaroo and half the scenes weren't, because from scene to scene, the actors would change from being Lectroid to being human.
Yes.
So I did enjoy that little
That was
nod.
cool. Yeah, that was
it'd
cool.
be like 3 scenes in a row. It would be John Parker, and then all of a sudden it's Lectroid, and you're like, whoa. So I do like that they kept down their...
They kept like a consistent log of what perception are you seeing from.
Yeah, and I was waiting the whole time for the Secretary of Defense guy to turn into a Lectroid, but I'm like, oh, he's just human.
Yes.
He was just
some
corrupt.
twist.
Right? So I was expecting...
Especially considering his name was John.
Yeah, that threw
they
you
should
off.
never have had.
So
you're right.
His name was John, but I think that was because how they even mentioned like, oh, I guess the trick doesn't work through the TV, because they were expecting one of the 2 guys that work with the president to be a Lectroid.
Yeah,
and it turns out he was just a shitty human who was working for the bad guys.
Yeah, I don't think
So
he
that's
knew
kind of
they
a
were
wink and a nod
Lectroids. He
that
just
we
wanted a
didn't.
bomber.
Yeah, but they assumed one of them was.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So that's what I appreciated.
Yeah.
The
Just
consistency of
and the
when
detail.
the detail of using all the different outfits when they needed to do it to keep a through line.
Change in species.
And then you never knew if the Secretary of Defense was alien or if he was human till the very end, when you're like, oh no, he's just human.
Yeah,
So I like that.
That's really cool. You're right.
Adam, what'd you love?
I'm a very simple guy, and I'm struggling between 2 choices. I think I either really liked the chair that John Lithgow went on when he first did his dry run. It's like the old,
the time machine propulsion chair.
the time machine.
Yeah.
So it kind
like
of reminded me of
the
like
go-kart?
those old like 1920s, 1930s like rocket test things that
Yeah.
they just
Oh,
put a
yeah.
Marine on, and he just had this like weird helmet. I liked all that, but I also really, really liked the car.
The jet car.
The jet car, the pre DeLorean, right? The pre time machine DeLorean. Looked like it was based off a truck, and it was just beautiful. It was big, over bloated, had all these jets and things sticking out of it. So it wasn't. I can see why it didn't get the fame as the DeLorean.
Yeah, well,
but I do recognize it and go, it looked cool both on the inside and the outside. I would probably rather have that car than a deck. Like, I mean, I want a DeLorean.
DeLorean's fucking cool, dog. It's iconic. Come
It
on
is,
now.
but I would rather this car than the time machine DeLorean. You know, people will take a DeLorean and they'll retrofit it to have all the time machine mechanics. I would rather get whatever that truck was, I couldn't identify it, mixed with its stuff on over the DeLorean. Cool. I think it just looked cooler. It's big, bulky. It's got this huge rocket on the back. It was just fun to watch and enjoy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like the van. The fucking double decker,
The double-decker.
The tour bus.
the Hong Kong Cavaliers tour bus, where it is driving around and it's like this guy's secret base and it's always on the move, and like Banzai never settles down. Banzai never settles down, right? Like he's got the dojo, he's got the library, he's got the med center, and then all of a sudden it's like Air Force One. It's just such a weird concept. I don't know, it's goofy as hell, but yeah, that's probably mine. I mean, the seashell spaceships is just a really cool concept, even though like the crustacean stuff. So
You don't
like
know how the
the-
3 seashell spaceships work?
no idea. I
like
honestly don't even
the-
wash my hands.
I like the chairs where they like spun around.
Oh, that
so
was
you could, Which was very Star
Wars. Yeah, it's like the TIE fighter with the new one where like he's on the guns.
Yeah,
right.
that
where
was
they
cool.
can flip back and forth. Like,
Although
that was cool.
I do find it weird that the trigger for the gun is facing the back thing, but it shoots that way. Like, and they didn't even have a screen.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd have at least a screen.
Well,
they
it's like
didn't
a
even have that.
periscope, right?
Yeah, it didn't really work out. But you're right. I did like that the chairs were. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Fun. Yeah.
There's some neat and goofy sci-fi shit in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it. Folks, we're going to go around the room real quick. Adam, we'll end with you, but
Okay.
Amanda, did you love it? Did you hate it?
I think it's a very
What would
fun
you rate
movie. Like, you definitely have to go in with like an open mind, knowing it's like kind of goofy.
Probably some drugs.
Yeah, you know. It's goofy, it's funny, it's serious, it's a little creepy. You kind of hate Buckaroo Banzai, but then you're also like, you know, it's funny that all the women were like swooning over him all the time.
Yeah.
And which is also like the Tony Stark aspect of it, where it's like this man can do no wrong, even though he's kind of an asshole.
Yep.
Which I guess is like part of the charm.
He's so smart. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
There is a weird history where that kind of attitude was, for whatever reason, attractive. It has gone out of style now.
Oh.
Thank God.
Yep.
But for a while, that's what the way it was.
I would give it a solid 6. Like I said, there's lots of problems with it, but it still holds up in a way if you're looking for the classic like cult movie to see like where other cult movies had stemmed from, or where these actors got their like not beginnings, but like, you know, still advanced. Like, it didn't destroy anyone's career, I don't think, you know, like Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would give it a solid 6. I would definitely watch it again. This is my second time watching it. Maybe not in the next few months, but like maybe like a once a year, like put it on to have fun.
I think Buckaroo Banzai doesn't necessarily hold up, but it does have its fingerprints across film and comic books.
For sure.
It definitely is a very comic booky movie. It is a little
feels
thin.
like it's got a history of comic books.
It does.
For
It
sure.
does. But it doesn't. But
Yeah.
it does. And it's so interesting to see so much merchandise. It almost reminds me a lot of Alex's favorite Christmas movie, the Turbo Man, Jingle All the Way.
Oh, Jingle All the Way.
How
Yeah.
Turbo Man was like, in that movie, they made Turbo Man action figures, and there was the cartoon and the video game and the posters and all of this hype for this merchandise. And Buckaroo Banzai has the same thing, but none of it's real. There was no Buckaroo Banzai like stand-up
Record.
video game or records or any of that shit,
Yeah.
right? But they talk about it, and you sit there and go, "Fuck, was there? Can I Google that? Can I buy
You
a
feel like
Buckaroo
there was.
Banzai
Yeah,
record
they built out the world
or
enough.
8-track right now on eBay, and it doesn't exist."
I constantly felt like they did the thing where a lot of comic book or video game stories do, where they go, oh, the video game that you used to play is based on this character,
Right.
not the other way around.
Right.
And they were playing with that. And I felt like that, like, oh, there must clearly have been an arcade. You're right. I was convinced there was a comic book, because they even had a comic book format. I was convinced there were movies of it, other movies.
Yeah.
Not clearly not other movies, but I was convinced
This
there
is
was
the
probably a
third or
TV
second
show.
one, right?
Yeah,
No, this is the first one. Wait, what? Yeah.
Exactly. I was convinced that they did a good job of convincing that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Or even like a paper novel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, Buckaroo Banzai was like a James Bond.
Yeah.
Where there's 100 fucking issues of Buckaroo Banzai somewhere as like just a paperback dollar novel.
Yep.
But none of those really exist. I got to go with you on that. I'd say it's a solid 6.5.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad film. It's not a great film, but it is a laugh. It is enjoyable. There is some zany shit, and there's some fun stuff to take away as well. I think there is this whole thing with like that era of the 80s where like Blade Runner did come out, and America or Americana was also trying to just slam itself up against Japanese and Asian cultures that we all kind of look at and go, oh, fuck, that's really cool. Like, we even comment, I mean, you're dressed like Spike Spiegel right now. Like, there is that like Cowboy Bebop aspect of like a guy in a suit with a samurai sword, and he's smoking American cigarettes, but he's drinking European beer, and it's merchandise and material and tactile things, but we assume that there's culture and depth.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's this movie. But there's nothing there. It's a little hollow and it's a little empty. I still enjoy it, but it's flashy. It's style over substance.
Yeah, and it's almost an insult to the original culture to a small degree.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
I mean,
but
yeah, they insulted a few cultures, I think, making that.
Oh, for sure.
yeah, but I mean, it's an 80s movie and it doesn't necessarily hold
Peace
up.
to
But
you,
it's
Rastafarians.
I'd give it a 6.5.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I definitely have watched it quite a bit, and I love it. It is a gem of cult movies. Like it's
It's a gem,
up
all
there.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a gem.
Adam, did you hate it? Did you rate it? Blah, blah, blah.
I won't say I hated it at all. I think, so like the Mario movie, you kind of gave me shit in the Mario movie, and rightfully so. I've been judging movies with this, like how much fun we have. But the problem that I'm not always taking into account is how much fun it is to just watch movies with you guys.
That's so nice.
Right? Like it's we bring the fun.
Yeah.
And that's how most things are in life.
Right.
And so I found that a lot of the movies we're watching are having a lot of fun. So I'm giving them a bit higher of a score. So I'm kind of pulling myself back right now out of those recordings.
No, it's okay. Like if that's how you feel, like coming off of it, where you were hot off Mario, and guess what? We laughed our asses off.
Oh yeah,
it was a good movie, and I think we were surprised because, and you looked at Mario and you went, fuck, it's not as bad as I thought it was, or I remembered it was.
It was definitely worse back when movies were in a more serious tone.
Okay, off script just a bit. Mario, I think, I hated it when I was younger because I was in that Linkin Park. Everything needs to be serious.
Yeah.
It's not my hashtag, not my Mario,
Not
right?
my Orko.
Not my Orko. But once you, I don't want to say grow up, but once you grow out of that, like it has to be my version, there's a level of, we're just going to have fun here, man. Like there's a funness to it. Once you accept that it's not my Mario. And this is that same thing. There's a funness to it once you lose all your air quotes, inhibitions, all the rules of movie making.
We finally got it out of him.
We did.
We beat it out of you. Finally, it took 3 years to get you off that train.
Squeezed you.
Yeah, once you lose, like, oh, artsy fart, like this has to be a perfect, follow the rules movie.
Yeah.
Once you get rid of that, there's a lot of fun to be had. But I will have to say, I think you're right. I would give it more of like a soft 6 than a hard 6. But I think once you lose that inhibition, there's a lot of fun to be had.
Yeah.
But also, I think that fun is despite itself.
Yeah.
It's just coincidentally there.
It gets in its own way a bit, half the time even.
Exactly. It gets in its own way. So that's why it's a really soft 6. I don't want to say 5 because a 5 is like, oh, that's starting to become a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's close. It's close to a bad movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I won't disagree with that. But I think we're happy kind of with that 6.
Yeah, I think we're on a 6 here.
6.
666, the number of the beast. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Buckaroo Banzai. Thank you all very much. This has been Raised by Spoilers. You can find us on all your places where you get your podcasts. We are also on YouTube. I am Geek Movie House.
I'm Nintendo Geek.
And I'm Plebeian Adam.
Oh. And remember, no matter where you go, there you are. All right. Adam, I can honestly tell you right now, I've ordered action figures. It's been a while since we've done this show. I've ordered action figures from Amazon. Okay. One was from eBay, which was the Alien Mini.
Yep.
Okay. 2 so far. The fucking toilet from Ghostbusters. Okay, it's the
cartoon.
toilet.
The cartoon
comes
makes more
out.
sense.
Its eyes pop out of the back.
Yeah,
half. It's got teeth, right? I think it's called like the Crimson Flusher or some fucking thing.
I never knew it had a name.
It's awful. It's got wheels on it, but guess what? Showed up in the mail, completely fucking crunched, just trashed. Okay,
No.
I got a Shredder figure. Okay, from discount clearance.
See, the problem
sale
is
for $10.
I can't judge whether you mean like paper shredder.
No,
I know
Shredder like Ninja Turtles. Yeah, right. They have
But knowing you, you're weird.
They have the they have the retro figures, right?
Yep.
Clearance. I didn't want to spend $30 an action figure, but I'll get them when they're on clearance for $10. Also showed up, cardboard, ripped to shit. So right now, the plastic crunch. So even if you were an adult collector, if you had kids and you're opening up your toy, it would have been great. But like to put something on the shelf or even like have it
destroyed,
just fucking wrecked, and it has been driving me up the goddamn wall, and I just really wanted to get that out.
You showed a lot of rage.
I just fucking